The twin moons of Valyria floated above the sky like two silent witnesses, casting silver light across the alien palace. Shadows crawled across the marble floors as the night winds whispered through the towering gates. Inside, the alien mistress stood alone on her balcony, her golden eyes fixed on the horizon. Her name was Seraphine. Some called her the Queen of Shadows, others the Mistress of Secrets. Entire star systems bowed to her command. Yet tonight, her thoughts were not on war or politics. Tonight she planned a test. For years she had trusted no one. Too many had tried to betray her. Friends, generals, even family. Power was a lonely crown to wear. But there was one man, one human, who had served her without question. His name was Marcus Hale, a soldier from a distant planet, a man with no rank, no wealth, no noble blood. Yet he had saved her life more than once. She trusted him, or at least she wanted to. But trust was dangerous. Trust could kill. So tonight, she would know the truth. "Open the vault," she ordered her servants. The alien guards froze. "My lady, the royal treasures." "Open it," she said softly. Her voice carried no anger, but there was steel in her words. One by one, the guards obeyed. Heavy locks unsealed with a hiss. The great doors to the treasure hall opened wide. Inside lay mountains of wealth, jewels that burned with inner fire, alien crowns of crystal, weapons forged from metals long extinct. Some treasures were so rare that entire empires had gone to war for a single piece. And now, all of it would be left unguarded. "Remove the alarms," Seraphine said. "Leave the room empty." The guards hesitated, confused. "No one enters except Marcus," she finished. Her golden eyes gleamed in the moonlight. This was no mistake. This was a trap. And a question. Would her loyal human take what was not his? Or would he prove himself different from all the others? Marcus walked the palace corridors as he always did, his boots echoing on the polished floor. But tonight felt strange. Too quiet. He passed empty guard posts. Security drones that usually hovered near the ceilings were missing. Even the servants had vanished like ghosts. His instincts sharpened. Something was wrong. When he turned the corner, he stopped dead. The treasure hall. Wide open. He had guarded this place for months. The doors were never open. Inside, golden light spilled across the floor like liquid sunlight. Jewels sparkled on tall pedestals. Weapons of legendary kings glimmered along the walls. And at the center, on a pedestal of black stone, rested the crown of Etherin, the mistress's most prized possession. Marcus frowned. Where were the guards? Where were the alarms? Slowly, he stepped closer. His hand stayed on the grip of his plasma rifle. This felt wrong. Very wrong. High above, hidden behind a balcony veil, Seraphine watched him. Her face revealed nothing. Would the human take the bait? Would he touch what was forbidden? She leaned forward slightly, the wind pulling at her long silver hair. Marcus entered the treasure hall. The air was cold, almost unnatural. He moved slowly, scanning every corner like a soldier entering enemy territory. One jewel could buy a starship. One crystal sword could buy an army. One crown could buy a throne. And all of it was his for the taking, if he wanted it. He walked past golden coins stacked higher than his chest, past glowing stones that seemed alive with inner fire, past paintings worth more than planets. He stopped near a silver necklace that shimmered like water. For a long moment he just looked at it. Any man would have taken it, but he didn't move. His hand stayed near his weapon. His eyes stayed sharp. This wasn't treasure. This was bait. On the balcony, Seraphine raised one eyebrow. Interesting. Marcus turned slowly, looking toward the shadows near the walls. He had fought enough battles to feel when eyes were watching him. Someone was here. Someone hidden. He reached for his rifle. And then, click, a sound behind him. Soft, almost nothing. But in the silence of the treasure hall, it was as loud as thunder. Marcus spun around, weapon ready. A door at the far end was closing. Someone else was here. Someone waiting. The trap was only beginning. The treasure hall was silent again after that soft click. Marcus stood very still, his weapon ready, his eyes scanning the corners of the room. His soldier's instinct told him this was no accident. Someone else was here. He slowly stepped backward until his shoulders almost touched the wall. From here, he could see most of the room. The golden crowns, the glowing jewels, the crystal weapons, and the shadows between them. It felt like those shadows were alive. Somewhere in them, eyes were watching. Far above, behind the thin veil of the balcony, the alien mistress Seraphine watched with cold, golden eyes. The wind played with her long silver hair, but her gaze never left Marcus. He was tense, careful, alert, not like the others before him. Those men had taken only seconds to fail her test. The moment they saw the treasures, greed shone in their eyes. They thought no one was watching. They had all been wrong. Seraphine had watched them through secret cameras, behind walls, through soldiers hiding in the dark. She had seen the hunger in their faces before they even touched the gold. And she had destroyed them. But Marcus, he was different. He wasn't touching anything. He wasn't even looking at the treasures now. He was looking at the shadows. Like he knew the real danger was there. Interesting. Marcus held his breath. The air in the treasure hall was cold, but sweat rolled down his neck. He had been a soldier for 10 years before coming to this strange empire. He had learned to read danger like other men read books. And right now, danger was everywhere. He saw movement, a flicker of black near a tall statue. He turned fast, weapon raised. Nothing. The shadows swallowed everything again. Suddenly, a soft laugh came from the darkness. It was low, mocking, alien. Marcus didn't move his weapon. He kept his voice calm. "Show yourself." The laugh came again, closer this time. Then a voice spoke, rough and cold. "Human protector of the mistress. Tell me, how much would you take for your loyalty?" Marcus frowned. "I don't take bribes." The voice chuckled. "Everyone takes bribes. Some for gold, some for power, some for love." Marcus kept scanning the room. He saw nothing but the glitter of treasure and the long, creeping shadows between the columns. The voice moved again, now to his left. "Do you think she trusts you? Do you think she sees you as her equal?" Marcus didn't answer. His grip on the rifle tightened. Because maybe that voice was right. Maybe the mistress didn't trust him at all. Maybe she was watching him right now, waiting for him to fail like all the others. High above, Seraphine narrowed her eyes. She knew that voice. It belonged to Kaler, captain of her alien guards. A man loyal to her, or at least loyal to her power. But Kaler had always hated Marcus. And tonight, Seraphine had given no order for Kaler to be here. So what was he doing in her treasure hall? Marcus finally saw movement. A tall figure stepping out of the shadows near the golden statues. Kaler's armor was dark red, his face sharp like broken stone, his yellow eyes glowing faintly in the light. He carried a spear crackling with blue energy. Marcus didn't lower his rifle. Kaler smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Look around you, human," Kaler said softly. "One jewel, one crown. Take it, sell it. You could buy your own planet and never follow orders again." Marcus stayed silent. Kaler stepped closer. "You're nothing here, a soldier from a forgotten world. When the mistress is done with you, she will throw you away like dust. Take the gold. Run away. Live free." Marcus's finger rested near the trigger. "I don't serve gold," he said quietly. Kaler's smile vanished. His voice grew colder. "Then you're a fool." Up on the balcony, Seraphine watched them both. Kaler was breaking her orders. Marcus was standing firm. The night had taken an unexpected turn. What started as a test of loyalty was becoming something else. Something dangerous. Kaler moved so fast it was almost a blur. 1 second he was standing near the statues. The next second his spear struck forward, faster than lightning, aiming straight for Marcus's chest. Marcus rolled to the side just in time. The spear smashed into the floor, sending sparks flying. Kaler attacked again, the spear humming with deadly energy. Marcus fired once, the shot burning a line across the alien's armor. The treasure hall exploded into chaos, gold and jewels scattering across the floor as the two men fought among the riches of the galaxy. And high above, Seraphine finally stood, her golden eyes blazing. This was no longer a test. This was war inside her own palace. The treasure hall looked like a storm had passed through it. Gold coins were scattered across the floor like fallen leaves. Jewels rolled into dark corners. Statues stood broken, their heads lying near shattered columns. And in the center of all that chaos stood Marcus, breathing hard, weapon still raised. Kaler leaned against a cracked pillar, his red armor scorched where Marcus's shot had grazed him. His spear hummed with fading energy, the blue light dying down like an angry flame. For a moment, neither man moved. The air smelled of smoke and metal. Then came the sound. Footsteps. Dozens of them. The palace guards stormed into the treasure hall, weapons drawn, eyes wide at the destruction. Behind them, moving slowly but with terrible grace, came the Alien Mistress herself, Seraphine. Her long silver dress flowed across the broken floor. Her golden eyes burned brighter than any jewel in the room. The guards froze when they saw her. Every alien head bowed low. But Marcus didn't move. He stood like a soldier awaiting orders, his weapon still in his hands. Seraphine's eyes swept across the hall. The broken treasures, the marks of battle, the smell of smoke. And then her gaze stopped on Marcus. Human! Kaler's voice broke the silence. He straightened, pointing his spear toward Marcus. He attacked me. He destroyed the hall. He tried to take the treasures for himself. The words hung in the air like poison. Marcus turned his head slowly, staring at Kaler. The alien captain's yellow eyes glowed with triumph. He wanted the crown, Kaler continued. I caught him. He fought me when I tried to stop him. Look at this place. He is no loyal guard. He is a thief. High above, the balcony guards watched in silence. Seraphine said nothing. Her golden eyes moved from Kaler to Marcus, then to the ruined hall around them. Marcus lowered his weapon, his voice calm but cold. He's lying. Kaler barked a laugh. Am I? The evidence is here for all to see. He kicked a pile of scattered jewels. The human could not resist temptation. He fought me when I tried to protect the mistress's treasures. The alien soldiers shifted uneasily. Some looked at Marcus, others at Seraphine. No one dared to speak. Marcus took one step forward, his eyes locked on the mistress. I didn't touch the gold, he said firmly. I didn't start the fight. He did. Kaler snarled. Lies. He wanted the crown of Etherin. He was going to steal it and run like the coward he is. Marcus's voice grew harder. He attacked me because he hates me. He hates that I'm human. He hates that you trust me. Kaler's spear hummed again, the blue energy returning. I hate traitors. The guards formed a circle around them now. Their weapons pointed inward, ready to strike if the mistress gave the order. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Marcus stood tall, his hands empty now, his weapon lying on the floor beside him. He didn't look at the guards. He didn't look at Kaler. He looked only at Seraphine, because hers was the only judgment that mattered. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was calm, but there was iron beneath it. Kaler, she said softly, you claim the human betrayed me. Yes, my lady, Kaler said quickly, bowing his head. I saw him reach for the crown with my own eyes. And you fought him to protect my treasures? Yes, my lady. He nearly killed me. Seraphine's eyes slid toward Marcus. And you, human? What do you say? Marcus's voice was steady. I say he lies. I never touched the treasures. I never reached for the crown. He attacked me first. Why would he do that? Seraphine asked softly. Marcus's jaw tightened. Because he wants me gone. Because he wants to be your only protector. Kaler's face twisted with anger. You dare. Silence, Seraphine said sharply. The word cut through the hall like a blade. For a long moment, no one moved. The treasure hall was silent except for the soft crackle of a broken light above them. Seraphine walked slowly around the room, her golden eyes studying every detail. The scattered jewels, the marks of battle, the guards holding their breath. She stopped between Marcus and Kaler. Two men, two stories, only one truth. At last she turned to Marcus. "Do you swear," she asked quietly, "on your life, that you did not betray me?" Marcus met her gaze. "I swear." Seraphine's eyes held his for a long, searching moment. Then she turned to Kaler. "And you?" she said softly. "Swear you speak truth?" Kaler's voice was eager. "Yes, my lady. I swear it." The mistress nodded slowly, as though weighing the words in her mind. Finally, she raised her hand. "Take them both," she said coldly. "Lock them in separate cells. At dawn, we will know who speaks the truth." The guards moved at once. Marcus didn't resist. But as they took him away, his eyes never left Kaler. And Kaler's smile promised that this was far from over. The night in the palace felt heavier than usual. The treasure hall was silent now, its doors sealed shut. Inside the cells below the palace, two men waited for dawn. One human soldier with calm eyes, one alien captain with a heart full of hate. The mistress had spoken, "At dawn, we will know the truth." But no one knew what she would do when the truth came out. Marcus sat on the cold floor of his cell. The walls were dark metal, the only light coming from a single bar of energy across the door. He could hear distant footsteps of guards, the low hum of machines, and sometimes the faint, mocking laugh of Kaler from the next cell. "You'll die tomorrow, human," Kaler's voice floated through the air. "The mistress will believe me. She always believes me." Marcus didn't answer. He just sat there, his mind sharp and clear. He knew the game Kaler was playing. The alien wanted him gone, not just because of the treasures, but because Marcus was human, an outsider. And Kaler couldn't stand that the mistress trusted him more than her own captain of guards. Above the cells, in her private chambers, Seraphine stood near the window. The first hints of dawn were touching the horizon, turning the sky pale gold. She hadn't slept. All night she had thought about the human. Marcus had served her for years. He had taken wounds for her, saved her life in battles, obeyed every order without question. But loyalty was a dangerous thing. She had trusted others before. Friends, generals, even lovers. And they had all betrayed her in the end. Could Marcus be different? She wanted to believe he was. But wanting was not the same as knowing. When the sun finally rose over the silver towers of the palace, the guards came for both men. Marcus walked calmly between two soldiers, his wrists bound with glowing cuffs. His face showed no fear. Kaler walked behind him, his steps loud, his yellow eyes full of false confidence. The great hall of judgment was waiting. It was a vast chamber with high ceilings and walls covered in ancient carvings. Tall windows filled the room with pale sunlight. At the center stood a throne of black stone where the alien mistress sat, her silver dress pooling around her like moonlight on water. The hall was filled with nobles, generals, and soldiers. All of them wanted to see what would happen. The mistress raised one hand, and the room fell silent. "Bring them forward," she said softly. Marcus and Kaler stopped before her throne. She looked at Marcus first. Her golden eyes searched his face for something. Fear, guilt, maybe even greed. She found nothing. Then she turned to Kaler. He bowed low, his voice smooth and full of lies. "My lady, the human betrayed you," Kaler said. "I saw him reach for the crown. I fought to stop him. The treasure hall was destroyed because of him." Murmurs filled the room. Some nodded in agreement. Others frowned, unsure. The mistress raised her hand again for silence. "Marcus," she said softly, "what do you say?" The human's voice was steady. "I never touched your treasures. He attacked me without warning. He wants me gone because I am not one of you." Kaler snarled. "Lies. He is a thief, a traitor." Marcus didn't even look at him. He kept his eyes on the mistress. The hall waited. Seraphine rose slowly from her throne. The sunlight caught her silver hair and golden eyes, making her look like a goddess from some forgotten legend. She stepped closer to the two men. "Kaler," she said softly, You have served me for years. Yes, my lady, Kaler said quickly, bowing. I have always protected you. And Marcus, she said, turning to the human. You came from nothing, no rank, no wealth. Yet you have stood by me when others ran. Marcus nodded once. That is true. Seraphine looked between them for a long, silent moment. Then she raised her voice so all could hear. There is a way to know the truth, she said. A simple way. She clapped her hands once. From the side doors, 2 servants entered carrying a small, glowing sphere. It pulsed with white light, like a living heart. Gasps filled the hall. The sphere of oaths, someone whispered. It was a relic older than the empire itself. When someone spoke while touching it, the sphere glowed bright if they told the truth, and black if they lied. The mistress's golden eyes burned. Kaler, she said softly. You will speak first. The alien captain stepped forward, his face pale now. He hadn't expected this, but it was too late to back away. He put one clawed hand on the sphere. I swear, he said loudly. The human betrayed the mistress. He tried to steal the treasures. I fought to stop him. The sphere pulsed once, then began to darken. Black veins spread across its glowing surface like ink in water. The crowd gasped. Kaler stepped back, his face draining of color. Marcus, the mistress said quietly. Your turn. The human placed his hand on the sphere. I swear, he said calmly. I never touched the treasures. I never betrayed the mistress. Kaler attacked me without reason. The sphere glowed bright white, so bright it hurt to look at. The hall exploded with noise. Kaler's face twisted with rage. The mistress's golden eyes turned cold as ice. She raised one hand. Guards, she said softly. Take Kaler. He will pay for his lies. Kaler roared in fury as soldiers grabbed him, dragging him away. Marcus stood silent as the hall watched. The mistress turned to him at last. You are loyal, she said softly. More loyal than I imagined. But there was something strange in her eyes now. Something not just about loyalty. Something more. The judgment hall was still echoing with voices when the guards dragged Kaler away in chains. The sphere of oaths had spoken clearly. He was the liar, not Marcus. But even as Kaler was taken through the tall doors, his face showed no fear. His yellow eyes burned with something else. Anger, and maybe a secret he wasn't ready to lose yet. Marcus watched him go. He stood in the center of the hall, silent, his wrists free now. The nobles whispered among themselves. Soldiers shifted uneasily. Everyone had expected the human to fall. Instead, the empire's own captain had been exposed as a liar before the entire court. But Marcus felt no victory. Something about this didn't feel finished. On her throne, Seraphine sat like a queen carved from stone. Her golden eyes followed the guards as they pushed Kaler through the door. Lock him in the lower cells, she said coldly. I will decide his punishment at dusk. The soldiers bowed and left with Kaler. But even as the doors shut behind them, Seraphine's mind was moving like a storm. Kaler had lied. Yes, but about what exactly? He hated Marcus. He had wanted the human gone. That much was clear. But had he truly come here only to frame Marcus? Or was there something else? Something darker? The court slowly emptied, the nobles drifting away like nervous birds. Only Seraphine, Marcus, and a few trusted guards remained. She looked at the human, her voice quiet now. You never touched the treasures? No, Marcus said. And yet, she murmured, her golden eyes narrowing. The vault alarms were disabled. The guards were missing. The cameras went dark. Kaler had help. Marcus frowned. You think there's someone else? Seraphine rose from her throne, the long folds of her silver gown whispering across the floor. I think, she said slowly, Kaler is not clever enough to plan this alone. She ordered the hall cleared, leaving only Marcus beside her. The great doors closed with a deep, final sound. Walk with me, she said softly. They left the judgment hall and moved through the palace corridors. Sunlight spilled through tall windows, cutting bright lines across the floor. The palace felt too quiet now, as if holding its breath. Seraphine led him to the treasure hall once more. The wreckage from last night was still there. Broken statues, scattered jewels, black marks on the floor where Kaler's spear had burned through marble. Her golden eyes moved slowly across the room. "Someone planned this," she said softly. Kaler was only the sword. Someone else held the hand. Marcus nodded once. "Do you have anyone in mind?" Seraphine's eyes hardened. "Many would like to see me fall. The council, rival houses, old enemies wearing polite smiles." She moved closer to the pedestal where the crown of Etherin still rested. Its crystal points caught the sunlight like frozen fire. "This crown," she said quietly, "has been on the heads of rulers for 5,000 years. To steal it is to declare war against my empire." She turned to Marcus. "And someone tried." As they spoke, a young palace guard entered the hall, bowing quickly. "My lady," he said nervously. "We found something in Kaler's quarters." He handed her a small metal cube, scorched on one side. Seraphine took it, her eyes narrowing. A hologram flickered above the cube, an image of Kaler speaking to someone cloaked in shadow. A secret meeting, a secret plan. The voice from the hologram was cold and distorted. "Cause chaos in the palace," it said. "Make the human fall. During the confusion, the real prize will be taken." The image vanished. Marcus's jaw tightened. So Kaler wasn't after the crown. Seraphine shook her head slowly. No, he was creating a distraction. Her golden eyes turned toward the treasure hall walls. And that was when Marcus saw it. A small door at the far end, its lock cut open. It led to the archives where the Empire's oldest relics were kept. They rushed inside. Shelves of ancient artifacts lined the walls. Blades from extinct worlds, scrolls older than light itself, devices no one alive could even name. And on the floor was an empty pedestal. Seraphine froze. The artifact that had been there, the Eye of Vera, was gone. Marcus looked at her. What was it? Seraphine's voice was low, angry. A map to weapons hidden before the Empire was born. Weapons powerful enough to burn whole worlds. The room felt colder suddenly. Someone out there now had the map. Seraphine turned sharply to Marcus. Find out who Kaler was working for. Find the map. Bring it back. Her golden eyes burned with fury now. Before they use it. Marcus nodded once. But deep inside, he knew this was no simple mission. Whoever had taken that map wasn't just stealing treasure. They were planning something far bigger, and he would have to stop them before it was too late. The palace was no longer calm. Servants whispered in fear. Guards rushed through corridors carrying orders. Somewhere in the distance, alarm bells rang like beating war drums. The theft of the Eye of Vera had changed everything. It was no longer about Marcus. It was no longer about Kaler. Now the entire empire was in danger. Seraphine stood in the center of the war chamber, a massive room filled with glowing maps of star systems. The council members argued in loud voices. We must close the borders, one shouted. Send fleets to every rival house, another barked. Find the thief before the weapons are awakened, cried a third. Seraphine raised one hand, and silence fell. Her golden eyes turned toward Marcus, who stood near the doorway like a soldier awaiting orders. You will lead the hunt, she said softly. Find the eye before it reaches the wrong hands. Marcus bowed his head. I will. The council members exchanged uneasy looks. A human, leading the hunt for the Empire's most dangerous secret? Some muttered in anger. Others stayed silent. But Seraphine's voice allowed no argument. He saved me once, she said coldly. He proved his loyalty. Now he will do it again. Hours later, Marcus prepared in the palace armory. His old rifle rested against the wall. A black combat suit replaced his usual guard uniform. As he checked the energy cells of his weapon, a shadow moved behind him. It was Seraphine. She watched him silently for a moment before speaking. Why did you stay? She asked softly. After Kaler framed you, after my court nearly condemned you, why did you not leave? Marcus slid a power cell into place and looked at her calmly. "Because I gave my word," he said simply. Her golden eyes studied him. "Even to someone who doubted you?" "Especially then," Marcus said. For a long moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the quiet hum of weapons charging. Before leaving, Marcus visited the dungeon. Kaler sat in chains, his armor stripped, his face twisted with fury. "You think you won," Kaler hissed as Marcus approached. "But you are nothing here. The Empire will eat you alive." "Who has the map?" Marcus asked coldly. Kaler's smile was slow and bitter. "Even if I told you, you wouldn't live long enough to stop them." Marcus leaned closer. "Try me." Kaler's yellow eyes gleamed with hate. "They are not from this empire," he whispered. "They are worse. They come from the outer void." Marcus felt a chill crawl down his spine. The outer void, a place beyond the borders of known space. A place where pirates, warlords, and broken empires gathered like wolves around dying fires. If the map reached them, entire planets could burn. When Marcus returned to the war chamber with the news, Seraphine's jaw tightened. "The outer void," she said softly. "I should have known." Marcus nodded once. "They won't stop until they find those weapons." Seraphine stepped closer, her golden eyes fierce. "Then neither will you," she said. "Find them. Destroy anyone who stands in your way." Marcus held her gaze. "I will bring the eye back. I promise." He left the palace before dawn, flying a small black ship built for speed, not comfort. Its engines roared like thunder as it cut through the clouds and vanished into the endless night. Inside the command deck, Marcus studied the stolen map's last signal. It was faint, broken, but enough to follow. The outer void waited beyond the Empire's borders, a place of lawless stations, broken moons, and pirate kings who ruled with fire and fear. And somewhere out there, the thief carried a weapon map that could change the galaxy forever. Back in the palace, Seraphine watched his ship disappear into the stars. She had trusted many people in her life. Most had betrayed her. But this human, he was different. Even after being framed, accused, nearly executed, he had stayed. Not for gold, not for power, but because he had given his word. And now he carried the Empire's hopes on his shoulders. In the darkness of the outer void, news of the stolen artifact spread like wildfire. Pirate lords gathered on dying space stations. Warlords armed their fleets. Smugglers whispered of ancient weapons sleeping on forgotten worlds. And among them, a cloaked figure studied the stolen map with cold eyes. "We will awaken the old fire," the thief said softly, "and the Empire will burn." But they didn't know Marcus was coming. And Marcus had no intention of letting the galaxy fall into chaos. Because this was no longer just a mission. This was personal. He would prove his loyalty with more than words. He would prove it with blood. The outer void was a place of broken stars and lawless skies. Marcus's small black ship moved through fields of shattered asteroids, past wrecked stations where pirate flags waved in the darkness. No Empire patrols came this far. No laws reached this deep. Here only power ruled. And the thief had come here to sell the map of the ancient weapons to the highest bidder. Marcus had to stop him before the galaxy burned. The map's signal led him to a rusted station built into the side of a dying moon. Its lights flickered weakly. Old ships floated like corpses around it. Marcus landed silently, stepping out into the cold air. The station smelled of oil, smoke, and danger. He moved through narrow corridors, passing armed men with cruel eyes and strange scars. Nobody stopped him. Everyone here looked ready to kill for credits. But Marcus wasn't here for them. He was here for the thief. At the center of the station, in a room filled with flickering lights, the auction was already starting. Dozens of warlords sat around a glowing table. Some were alien kings with metal crowns. Others were pirate captains wearing trophies from dead enemies. And at the center stood the thief, cloaked in black, holding the stolen Eye of Vera. This, the thief's voice echoed, is the map to weapons older than your empires. Weapons that can burn planets to ash. Bid well and power is yours. The warlords shouted numbers, offering fleets, gold, whole planets. Marcus stepped into the room. "No one," he said quietly, "is leaving with that map." The warlords turned. Some laughed. Others reached for weapons. "Who are you?" one pirate sneered. Marcus's rifle was already in his hands. "The man who will stop you." The thief's eyes narrowed. "Kill him." The room exploded into chaos. Blaster fire filled the air. Tables overturned. Warlords shouted. Guards rushed forward. Marcus moved like a soldier who had fought 100 battles. Every shot he fired was clean, precise. 2 guards fell before they even reached him. A pirate captain swung a blade at him. Marcus blocked, slammed the rifles but into the man's face, and fired again. The station shook with screams and gunfire. But Marcus didn't stop. He pushed toward the center where the thief still held the eye. The thief tried to run. Marcus fired, hitting the thief's leg. The cloaked figure stumbled, dropping the eye. Marcus kicked the weapon away, grabbing the map before anyone else could touch it. The warlords froze. No one wanted to die for something they no longer owned. The thief groaned on the floor, clutching his leg. Marcus pointed his rifle at him. "Who sent you?" The thief spat blood and laughed bitterly. "The Empire has too many enemies to count. Kill me and more will come." Marcus said nothing. He hit the thief hard enough to knock him out, then turned to leave with the Eye of Vera in his hands. By the time the Empire's fleets arrived, summoned by Marcus's signal, the warlords were fleeing the station like rats from a burning ship. The stolen map was safe, and Marcus was on his way home. Back in the palace, Seraphine waited at the landing platform. Her silver dress moved in the wind as Marcus stepped out of the ship, carrying the eye in his hands. The nobles and soldiers watching expected him to kneel, to bow, to hand over the relic like a loyal servant. But Marcus simply walked forward and placed it in Seraphine's hands. "Your empire is safe," he said quietly. Seraphine studied his face. He looked tired, scarred, but unshaken. "You went into the outer void alone," she said softly. "You fought warlords and thieves. You saved what even my armies could not." Marcus shrugged slightly. "I gave my word." For a long moment, Seraphine said nothing. Then, to the shock of every noble watching, she stepped closer and placed her hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You are more than a soldier now," she said softly. "You are the Empire's shield. From this day you stand above every guard, every captain. None will command you but me." Murmurs spread through the court. A human given such honor? It had never happened before. But Seraphine wasn't finished. "You saved my empire," she said, her golden eyes locking with his. "And you have my trust. My complete trust." Later, when the court was gone and the night winds moved through the palace gardens, Marcus stood alone under the twin moons. Seraphine walked beside him, silent for a time. Then she spoke softly, almost like a secret carried by the wind. "Loyalty like yours," she said, "deserves more than titles." Marcus looked at her but said nothing. Seraphine's golden eyes met his. "It deserves a place beside me." For the first time, Marcus had no words. The soldier who had come to her court as a nameless guard had now become the most trusted man in the Empire. And maybe something more.